All right, so I have some ongoing thoughts about the Republican culture war against trans people in the greater LGBTQ community. As you well know, or maybe you don't know, last week was CPAC, the biggest conservative conference in the country, and they had a speaker by the name of Michael Knowles from Ben Shapiro's The Daily Wire, reaches millions and millions of people. This guy upped the ante and said we need to eradicate transgenderism in the United States. Using vague, genocidal, homicidal rhetoric is in fact upping their culture war ante against this community. And we have to understand something here. This is a starting point. This is the early beginnings of what they want to happen in their hearts and minds, what they want to happen to LGBTQ people, what they want to happen to trans people. And that is eventually erecting something in the United States akin to fascist Germany's T4 program that systematically gassed and killed their political enemies, the disabled, trans people, gay people, the Poles, gypsies. They used the T4 program for many different perceived political enemies. In this country, they want something like that eventually. So it starts with genocidal rhetoric. It starts with saying things, we need to eradicate transgenderism in this country. It starts there. That's a seed. That's a seed that gets planted in the minds, the hearts and minds of the radical right-wing base in this country. Let's take a look at a few factors here. American conservative propaganda is ubiquitous. It is monolithic. Its outreach is wide, okay? They have the propaganda machine to export their hate everywhere, all over the country, all over the world. It's all over the internet. It's all over. So they have the means to demonize certain groups of people at all times. And they do this rather effectively. I hate to admit it, but they're good at it. This is something they are very good at, and you must give credence to. So they have the propaganda outfit. They have the propaganda machine, polluting the hearts and minds of conservatives everywhere. Not only do they have the propaganda machine, they have the legislative machine now. They have the House. They took back the House and Congress. Right now, as I speak, there are over 400 anti-LGBTQ bills circling in the legislative session right now. That's the most ever. The most ever. Okay? Once again, this is a beginning. The ball is now rolling. You have the propaganda arm is functioning. You have the legislative arm is functioning. You have the homicidal, genocidal upping of the ante and rhetoric. The ball is rolling on this, guys. And it makes me think, there's an inevitable endpoint to all this. And it is something akin to eradication, literally, of transgender people. Whether that is, medical, like they give them a shot and they're sterilized, or just flat out killing them somehow, which is unlikely. But the way that this country is going, I'm not willing to take anything off the table. Okay? Trump and Trumpism has proved literally anything is possible. Okay? So I'm not even gonna, even though it is like a lesser chance, I'm not taking it off the table. Okay? Because when these people get power, they're coming after the LGBTQ people like never before. And they have the means to do it. They have the political will to do it. They have the legislative will to do it. They have the propaganda machine to do it. And it's up to us to stop them. It's up to you. My heart aches for the people I know who have transgender children, who have transgender family and friends, who are being put through hell because of these small-minded, hateful people. But we cannot undercut them. They are a viable threat to democracy, to a free way of living, to liberty in the United States of America as we know it. And they're only getting started. We have to be vigilant here. We have to vote. We have to organize. We have to get online and call these people out publicly as they are publicly spewing their hate. We have to push back against that hate. If they're going to be allowed to have their hate speech, someone's got to push back. Someone's got to keep them in line. Someone's got to keep them in check. Because this is not going to happen without a fight. There's no way. You know, I'm in the discourse in this conversation online a lot, and Michael Knowles is talking, is just trying to double down and parse out and piecemeal what he said at CPAC. Oh, we're against an ideology, not the people. It is so remarkably disingenuous and just outright stupid to try to separate the ideology from the person. Transgenderism is a state of being inside the transgender person's mind. You can't separate the two. I forget who said it, but they said it's like saying you're against Judaism, but not against the Jews. They're inseparable. You can't separate the two. You say you want to fight an ideology, but not the person. Like, what? This is. I mean, the amount of ignorance and stupidity from these fascists never ceases to amaze me. It's like getting stung by a bee in the eye. It's just like, wow, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. They're so desperate. They'll do anything. They'll say anything. It doesn't matter. You can't separate the two. You cannot eradicate transgenderism without eventually eradicating transgender people. At a minimum, sterilizing them. That's like the best case scenario in their scenario. That the LGBTQ community would become sterile and phased out. That's their best case scenario and what they want. These are fascists. These are authoritarians. These people who spout freedom and liberty in the pursuit of happiness, unless they disagree with it. Unless they disagree with you and how you live your life. The personification, quintessential hypocrisy on full display. Most people who reason honestly will see it. A lot of people won't, and they'll go along with it. There has to be pushback. It is your duty to push back against these people. These people who seek to destroy our way of life in this country. Don't let it happen.